As of April 27th, FEMA obligated $10.1 million for COVID-19 response efforts on Guam and will continue to obligate additional dollars per validated state's request. As of April 23rd, through Coronavirus Preparedness and Response Supplemental Appropriations Act and the CARES Act, the CDC provided over $1.9 million to Guam. As of May 1st, HHS awarded over $736,000 in CARES Act funding to the Department of Administration. Medical providers on Guam were allocated more than $9.3 million for the first round of funding from the Provider Relief Fund, with most of that provided by April 10th. As of April 27th, Guam received over $21 million from HHS through the Provider Relief Fund, CDC, and HRSA health centers and other HHS grants. As of April 16th, the SBA issued over $102 million in loans to over 500 Guam small businesses. As of April 19th, the SBA approved 334 economic injury disaster loan advances up to $10,000 for local small businesses impacted by coronavirus. These funds, as authorized by the CARES Act, do not need to be repaid and have totaled more than $1.6 million on Guam. $117.9 million CARES Act is from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, as HUD made over $2.6 million in COVID-19 funding available to Guam grantees via CARES Act authorizations. On March 26, DOI's Office of Insular Affairs announced $858,000 in Technical Assistance Program emergency funding assistance to the Pacific Island Health Officers Association to procure Gen Expert testing kits and a pair of machines for the U.S. Pacific Territories and FAS. Guam awarded $12 million in CARES Act under the Office of Insular Affairs TAP program to support efforts to prepare, prevent, and respond to COVID-19. Guam was awarded $1.5 million in dislocated worker grants to Guam. On April 17th, Department of Agriculture Secretary Sonny Perdue and President Trump announced the Coronavirus Food Assistance Program to assist farmers, ranchers, and consumers on Guam and across the nation in response to COVID-19. The $19 billion relief program will provide $16 billion in direct support based on actual losses for agricultural producers and $3 billion in purchases of fresh produce, dairy, and meat, including producers on Guam. The U.S. Department of Transportation allocated more than $2.7 million in Federal Transit Administration funds to help GRTA to respond to COVID challenges. The DOT awarded $20.6 million from the FAA to help fund continuing operations and lost revenue for the Guam International Airport Authority. The U.S. Department of Treasury announced that the VA benefit recipients on Guam and across the nation will automatically receive $1,200 in EIP under the CARES Act. And the U.S. Department of Justice allocated nearly $3 million in funding to Guam through the Coronavirus Emergency Supplemental Funding Program to respond to COVID-19.